Hey everybody, welcome back to Leosophy. This is a Sunday edition, but I'm actually using a regular webcam instead of my phone this time. Three questions, I'll jump right in. Question number one, what are mental maps? There's really two definitions to mental maps. The first one is literally sort of a way of organizing the structure of the world from your own perspective. So it's kind of like navigating through how you normally perceive things, which makes it a lot more subjective and inaccurate compared to a regular map. But more often than not, when people are talking about mental maps, they're usually referring to this interesting thing, which, by the way, I actually encourage people to use. I actually use them. It's a way of sort of creating a visual representation of the way that you organize and structure things that you perceive, which more often than not, people are using mental maps to either create like a visual representation of something they need to do that's more vague. Like, recently I made a mental map for CRM for a client, and that's something that it's difficult to put into words or just to list. So creating something that illustrates that point visually, because most humans are visual creatures. Some people learn a little bit more auditorially, but most people benefit greatly from images. That's why graphs and things are so popular, especially in the corporate world. But it can also be used for more personal growth, and that's one of the reasons why it's becoming more popular. Like, for example, you could create a mental map showcasing the things that you hold valuable regarding the time you spend per day or per week, and then compare and contrast it to the things that you don't consider valuable or conducive to your own personal development or your own success. And when you start looking at it that way, when it's abstract, it's hard to really quantify. But when you look at it written out, you might say to yourself, "Oh my goodness, I waste a lot of time doing something that I see as meaningless, and I don't spend nearly enough time doing the most important thing to me," or something to that effect. So that's how mental maps work. I hope that answers your question. Let's see, next one. Is Bulletproof coffee legit? Hard not to laugh at that. Not laughing at you, just the question itself it's a little funny. Just the fact that it's Bulletproof coffee, Anyway, sorry. No, Bulletproof coffee, it depends on how you're looking at it. Does it have all these amazing health benefits? No, not really. It's coffee and fat. That's all it is. But consuming medium chain triglycerides with caffeine while in a fasted state does have benefits. It actually does encourage, I said that in a weird way, encourage the body to start using fat as fuel preemptively. Now, that doesn't really mean much, and by the way, this is not me advocating keto, but if you are doing keto or intermittent fasting, which I actually do recommend, Bulletproof coffee, as they call it, I hate the name, I'm sorry, I understand that it's a marketing term, but it just kills me that it's called that. I don't know why, but it bothers me, because it's just coffee and fat, black coffee and fat. But it does have a benefit in that sense, because it will encourage you to burn fats that normally would be stored as fuel as a means of powering the body. So yeah, it has that advantage, and it can also be done with black tea and fats as well. Usually people use either coconut oil, MCT oil, which is just medium chain triglycerides. Basically, they took the medium chains out of coconut oil, which is a combination of medium chains and saturated fat. And then butter has far more saturated fats. So really, it's not this panacea, but I do get why some people swear by it. It's not for me. I like butter in black tea. It's a unique thing that I will very, very, very occasionally, like maybe twice a year, indulge in, just because it's a peculiar flavor. But Other than that, I think you're better off just taking everything with a pinch of salt, including Bulletproof coffee. Next question. If you could add one course or component to the education system, what would it be? That's a surprisingly easy question for me to ask or answer, simply because somebody asked me a similar question. That's why I had that Freudian slip there earlier today in person. So that's really interesting. Maybe it's the same person. Anyway, sorry, there was some noise pollution there. I think rhetoric is sorely lacking. I think it would solve a lot of problems. Understanding ethos, pathos, and logos, knowing how to debate properly, knowing what fallacies are, knowing how to apply the scientific method to everyday life, all those things, I think, would be probably the most valuable thing that people could start teaching again. And I also think, and this is the conspiracy theorist in me talking, I think that people did away with rhetoric for that reason. Rhetoric is still taught. It's just taught for a handful of elite schools for the ruling class. So the people who argue on the news and at public forums, the politicians, the big ones, not your local mayor probably, they learned rhetoric. They learned fallacies. They learned how to debate properly. But your average Joe was never taught that, and so it makes them very prone to believe things that are not true, things that are easily disproven, and furthermore, it renders them incapable of debating their point and convincing others, either one, that they are telling the truth, or two, learning that they're wrong. So I think being able to argue effectively and communicate effectively, with taking your ego out of it too, just to find out what the truth is very important, and it's very sorely lacking. So that's my opinion. Anyway, that's all for this week. Like, share, subscribe, keep asking questions. Bye.